Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our friends across the world. This is Purple22 coming at you live with my good buddy styled Pigeon. GM Pigeon, what's new with you, my dude?
Not a whole lot. I'm actually enjoying hanging out up here in Tennessee with you.
Yeah, so it's a new backdrop today because Pigeon is
Yeah.
literally like somewhere over here in my house. We've been spending the weekend disc golfing and playing Ocarina of Time, so it's been a
Yeah,
good
having a
weekend so
blast, man.
far. Yeah, and we're able to kick it off with the show together. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, before we get started with how to get scammed in 2023, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for Gingerly. That's Roundly X. They are a easy to use dollar cost averaging tool where you can basically make purchases, round up those purchases into cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. And if you use the title of our show, Gingerly, when you sign up, you can get 15 bucks in Bitcoin. So go to
For free.
roundlyx.com. Yeah, for free, like no obligation. So put that code in, sign up, round up some Bitcoin, get saving. And that is a great step in getting started in learning how not to get scammed, is rounding up into solid money like Bitcoin as a starting place. So, Pigeon, it was your idea to talk about how to get scammed in 2023. Pitch us the episode, man. What are we going to be talking about?
Well, so not long ago, I actually got a message on my Xverse app from somebody wanting to send me something, and it was like basically was saying, "Hey, you just scored like 1,000 stacks or something like nothing crazy, but something that I'd want in my wallet. Like I wouldn't stub my nose at it or anything."
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, "This seems super sketchy." So what I did was I actually just reach out to you. I reach out to my network and be like, "Hey, y'all, have y'all seen this? Like, what is this? Is this something reputable or not? Like, I can't quite tell." And that's actually my go-to for the most part, and what has kept me scam free for the most part so far is just having a network of people around me to go ahead and double check with them. But if you don't have that, then it feels super, super scary to be out in the wild internet, and you can get scammed. And some people are really, really good at it, which is why I think it's important to talk about. So I wanted to talk about it today because sometimes we get a little bit in over other people's heads with Gingerly, I think, lately. And all of that stuff is wonderful and great, but if somebody steals your bags, then you're left holding nothing. So I
Yep.
thought it'd be cool to do a little anti-safety meeting like we used to do back in the day when I was building
Yeah.
trails, like make sure you don't wear safety glasses when you're swinging a sledgehammer at rocks and stuff like that. We used to have a lot of fun with that. So we were like, okay, what if we did like a whole tutorial on how to get scammed? Um, and so that's what we're going to do today. So I guess I'll kick us off. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I would love to know how to get scammed. So yeah, let's
Okay.
do
Well,
it.
the first step in how to get scammed in 2023 is don't educate yourself on anything. Make sure that you're not doing any reading. You don't want to know anything about the cryptocurrencies you're investing in. You don't want to know who their team is. You don't want to know. This is going to be hard to stay in the negatives because
You don't want to know what their
I keep saying
tokenomics
it and being
are.
like, ugh,
Yeah, yeah.
ugh. That
Oh my
sounds. Why would you
god.
do that? So basically, what our point is there's no reason not to read up on a cryptocurrency. One of the things that John taught me early on that I can do, which is pretty crazy, is just reach out to the team itself. Like if there's something that I'm interested in, um, I can always just DM a couple of the people involved. Like maybe not the founder. Founder might not reach back out to you, but maybe the founder sees your DM and goes, "Hey, other person, why don't you? You're on the team. Talk to this person and see what they want."
Yeah.
That kind of delegation happens all the time. And the places that you want to go to do that are going to be very simple. It's go to their website, check out their Discord, see what links they have available. Just do a basic internet workup like you're stalking somebody, and you'll be fine. So also don't
Yeah.
stalk people on the internet.
Yeah,
Is
that's
another
bad.
important safety tip.
So basically what I'm hearing you say is if you're looking to not get scammed in 2023, you need to make sure and actually check out what it is that you're putting your money into.
Yeah. That, and doesn't that make so much sense? And really what it is, I was talking to my grandmother recently, and she was like, well, you should put your money in some CDs or something like that. And I was like, well, like, not going to have this argument, but I'm not going to do that. And not to say the CDs are necessarily a bad financial option. If you want to do that, that's up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but the percent returns were not nearly high enough to even keep up with inflation. So I was
Yeah,
like,
like they're
why would
so out
you?
of style. Like everyone's listening to
Yeah,
MP3s anyway, like why would you even put money into such an outdated thing?
that's a wonderful
But
point.
for but my
You
point
know what's
there
funny
is
though is
like,
that the CDs I'm talking about are way older than the CDs that you're talking about.
oh no, I know. But like, if we're gingerly introducing people to concepts, like it's highly likely that people may not even know what a CD is. So it's like, well, go
That's
do your
true. That's true.
research. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take my
I
word
would
for
like to
it.
give
Read about CDs.
yeah, go check out some of the resources that the crypto curator shares on a regular basis and educate yourself. Hey, Paul. Good morning, my friend.
Oh, it's blowing up
Um,
chat.
blowing us up in chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to just point out a couple of very basic things that you should do in terms of research that'll really save your skin. So a lot of the places that we're talking about doing research, Twitter, websites, like people can just make their own content, and there's so much information out there these days. We were talking over breakfast this morning about how when I used to work at Cointelegraph, it was so difficult to actually get legitimate crypto projects into like paid promotions on Twitter because they have really strict rules around what, like, they basically don't allow, they say, crypto projects to advertise. However, for some reason, scams and like accounts that are mimicking real accounts, like it could be Coinbase, but instead of an O, they put a zero, like C0 Coinbase kind of thing. And they get away with promotion. So just very basic internet practice. When you're on social media, check the handle of the person that's tweeting. Does it line up with, is it spelled correctly? Are there any weird spaces or underscores where they shouldn't be? That's so simple, but people often, they'll see a big influencer, they think that, oh wow, this person just followed me, and they're DMing me this amazing opportunity. Um, Odds are they're probably not doing that. Like, you're not nearly as important as you might think. This person isn't going out of their way to follow you and DMing you a life-changing opportunity. And you should be really viewing this through the lens of, hey, this is a Nigerian prince that's coming at me asking for money. Um, Very basic research can save you from losing a lot of money. So check the Twitter handle, check the URL that you're on. If the next point that Pigeon had written here was choose reputable exchanges. So yeah, use someone like Coinbase or Cash App or someone that for a fact, like, this is this person, and I can verify that without having to do extensive research.
Yeah.
It's very basic, and it seems like, oh duh, like that's so simple, but people don't take the time to do that, and scammers can get you by just changing one or two characters. So it pays to just do the basic due diligence.
Yeah, and it's only really possible because it's not brick and mortar, right? Like if I go to your brick and mortar store and buy some crappy product or like some scammy product, I can come back to your store the next day and be like, yo, like, what is this? But if it's the internet, I can just, or scammers can potentially just ghost people, right? So you have to actually verify that it's the person, because if it is the person, say Coinbase, they have a lot riding on their reputation and their credibility, right? So they're going to establish that credibility, they're going to establish that brand, and you will be able to like go down the rabbit hole with their internet presence and see that, oh, okay, yeah, clearly this is Coinbase. Whereas if you click on their handle or whatever on Twitter and they've got 16 tweets, like, maybe not so reputable, right? So if you look at their statistics and things, normally it's not too difficult to tell if something's super scammy. And when in doubt, ask somebody who knows something more than you. Again, like, networking is so important.
Yeah, to your point earlier, just getting on, like, crypto is a really unique thing. Part of the problems that we're dealing with is because crypto is so free, like, or open, and like everyone can use it. That means scammers too, right? But that's the bad part, is that you can get scammed easily. But the good part, like you said earlier, is you can check in with the team directly. And if you don't even get contact with the team, odds are there's someone who has been in that community for a lot longer than you have that will come up and answer your question. So ask. This also leads to another really basic way that you can get scammed in 2023, and that is never using two-factor authentication. And if you think that you're super smart and you want to, say, put on an extra layer of protection, definitely only use text verification when you sign up for programs, and don't use Google two-factor authentication. So there's the bit. But really, though, don't use text ever. Always use Google two-factor authentication, because people can do something called SIM swapping, which is a complicated process that we've done an episode on, I think, if you go back and look at the first couple episodes. Basically, they take control of your phone and they steal your passwords, or they've bought your passwords off of the dark net, because all of our information is sold anyway. And they can easily get into all of your accounts. This happened to me in 2016. I lost over $10,000 worth of crypto, and it was one of the worst and most expensive mistakes I've ever made in my life, because that was in 2016, $10,000. Who knows how much that would be worth now? So just use two-factor authentication. It's something very simple. It takes you 2 seconds to set up, and it is very difficult to exploit. If for some reason you accidentally go to the wrong Coinbase website, or you happen to fall for a random celebrity DM, that's trying to take your money. If you have two-factor authentication, that's an extra layer of protection, and maybe it'll save you in the worst case scenario.
Yeah. That's something that's, one of those minor inconveniences that a lot of people are like, oh, like I have to do this again. But like when it comes to your finances and your digital assets, like it's worth the time. It's not that hard. And it's getting faster and easier too, which is great.
Paul posted in the comments here, I wonder if you guys will talk about the CeFi, or centralized finance scams. And I think that's worth talking on, because one of the points we put on here today was choose reputable exchanges. And so something that's important to consider when you're using an exchange is that it's just like using a bank. If you deposit money into a bank, you do not control that money. The bank controls the money. If you deposit money or cryptocurrency into an exchange, that exchange controls your money. And if they don't have insurance, if they don't have a large treasure chest of money to back up their deposits, if they don't, so there's something that's very popular that came out of the last couple years now, because of all these scams of exchanges that were not reputable, or that people thought were reputable but went bankrupt. Proof of reserve, right? Which basically just means, do we know that you have the dollar amount on hand to be able to back what we deposit? And heads up, real banks aren't required to do that. They're not required to hold 100% of the money that they say that they have on their ledger. So if you're worried about that, you should go do some research. But the same is true of cryptocurrency companies. A lot of these companies were keeping 0 to 30% reserve. And when a bank run starts, well, they're kind of left high and dry, and they have to go bankrupt. And they often don't have protections like insurance, because FDIC protects usually cash resources. So be super careful. I mean, I lost some money last year because of BlockFi and Voyager and Celsius. I thought, oh, this interest looks really appealing. I'm going to lend them my Bitcoin and make some interest back, but it wasn't worth it, because those companies went bankrupt. So if it seems too good to be true, if like 40% interest on your deposit seems too good to be true, ask yourself first, is it worth losing everything over? So that's really important. Thanks for asking that, Paul.
Yeah, and we were also talking kind of over the dinner table, or breakfast table, I guess, about actually staying consistent with your practices, and being very diligent about the way that you implement these questions that you're asking yourself as you're engaging with financial enterprises in general. And we are talking primarily about DeFi, or not DeFi really, but like crypto related scams and things. That's mostly just because there's a lot of information out there being thrown back and forth about how scammy crypto is. And it's about the same rate as normal financial enterprises, right? Like I hear stories all the time about somebody getting like, yeah, you'll double your money type scammed, or email scams, click on the wrong link and you're off to the races. That has nothing to do with crypto, right? It's just the fact that people out there scam people. nothing we can do about it. Evil exists in the world, so we just try to protect our
Yeah,
own resources and things as much as we can.
exactly.
So
I think most people these days are like they're wise to the Nigerian prince in need of a quick $1 million deposit. You know what I mean?
right,
And like we want people to get there with crypto. We want you to be able to go, oh wow, no, this is obviously a scam. I'm not going to
yeah,
do this, right? And it's just a familiarity thing.
yeah, exactly. So what do you do about making sure that the links and things in your emails are accurate or what you think they are?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there are actually several different courses. Binance has some good courses. I think Coinbase might too, about how to spot scams. They're really helpful. If you go, I think they're on Binance Labs. If you look that up, I could be wrong there, but it's pretty easy to find. Basically, they give you a series of links or emails that are written to look like what a scammer would do, and you have to try and figure it out. So
Oh, cool.
if you know anything about internet practices, right, you typically know, it should be www dot, right? And if it's a different type of precursor like www2 or like something random, that's maybe a red flag that it's not a link that you're, that is normal.
Yeah,
Then stuff like, okay, coinbase.xyz, for instance, instead of coinbase.com, and simple things that they might slip in like that, or in an email where it says, you only have 24 hours before your account is locked forever. Like, click this link to log in now and like share your password so that we can reset it for you. First of all, never share your password over email, right? I mean, that makes sense if you think about it from anything else. But when people get crypto in their head, there's usually some sort of like, oh my God, I have to do this quickly, or oh my God, I'm going to make so much money. And so I got to rush. Just slow down, right?
yeah,
And start thinking through these basic processes. Like if someone emailed you and they said, please input your credit card number here to like restore your bank account, you go, no, that's stupid. That's effectually what you're doing with crypto if you log in through a link that you get through your email that you don't verify.
yeah,
So I think at the end of the day, the message there, and you're going to hear this throughout the show, slow down. Don't let your emotions control your decisions, aka I need to do this fast or I'm going to make so much money. If you find yourself thinking those things, slow down and then verify everything individually, because odds are something is wrong. And it's going to be in the URL, it's going to be a link, it's going to be asking you for some type of identifying information. So just slow down. Don't fall for that.
yeah. This stuff
Oh,
scares
and
me too, by the
also
way.
in the chat, there's several good points here. So Proton Mail is a really good suggestion. So look, when you learn about Bitcoin, you learn about security in ways that you probably wouldn't have thought, and email is one of them. Proton Mail is one of the most secure and encrypted email services out there. They're really good about filtering out scams. They have like a high level of protection. Stuff like embedded images are they're hidden by default, so it's just they take steps to protect you that Gmail or Yahoo or other providers don't. So doing a little research into what type of email provider you use, and then having different email addresses for various things. Like I would recommend having separate Proton accounts for different like exchanges that you set up. So if you have a Coinbase account and then you've got like, I don't know, like a Kraken account, probably two different emails that are secure is a good idea. And then if you have a Gmail, maybe use that to sign up for, your mailing lists or like, charter or like your bills, because oftentimes those services are the ones that's selling your information. And you just want to pile all that stuff in Gmail and just think, okay, most likely the scams are in Gmail. Proton adds a layer of protection, but you still need to be careful.
Yeah,
So yeah, good points from the chat.
that's a practice that I think that we need to instill in people a little bit more. Is we first started using cars, right? And nobody knew what a catalytic converter is. But over time, as cars become ubiquitous, people learn what a catalytic converter is because you have to deal with it. And the same thing with the internet. And a lot of people have caught up with like the Nigerian prince scams, right? A lot of people see that and they're like, oh, Nigerian prince, this is BS. Like, I don't have to worry about that. We've learned that much. but it's still moving. It's still progressing. There's still new things coming out. The black hats are still coming up with new innovations, and the white hats are still trying to figure it out and protect everybody. So just be careful, I guess, is the moral of the story. Know who you're getting stuff from. So avoid Jesus Christ. Avoid get-rich-quick schemes is listed. You want to tell us about get-rich-quick schemes that you've been involved with that have worked?
Maybe that's a different episode.
Because I haven't found any yet.
Well, totally. I think that a great example tying this back to your intro is the whole Xverse thing. So this is a little bit more of a sophisticated scam, and I do want to talk about it since you brought it up because it's prevalent. So if you've been into crypto enough to set up your own wallet, which Pigeon has, Xverse wallet is a really awesome wallet for Bitcoin and for stacks. It can hold NFTs, right? And you can view those NFTs from the little gallery. It's like looking at photos on your phone, kind of. So you were scrolling through your NFTs and you saw this little thing that said you've won 1,000 stacks, and it looks like an NFT. And when you click on the NFT, there is metadata and a description there. And in the description, 99% of the time, so first of all, they're saying, we're going to give you a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Red flag number one. Okay. Number two, they share a website in the description of the NFT. You don't need to share a website in a description of the NFT because odds are you're looking at it either in a marketplace or in a wallet that allows you to do the things that you need to do without going to an external website. Three, when you go to that website, they're going to ask you to connect your wallet. And unless you know enough to know that this is a scam, or you know enough to check out the smart contract to see what this connect wallet function is doing, you're going to connect thinking that you're going to claim an airdrop that's worth 1,000 stacks. It makes sense. But what they do is you're giving them permission when you click connect wallet, you're giving them permission to read your private keys, and they steal those private keys, they import them into a new wallet, and they clean out all your money. So it's like an email scam, but the message of delivery is airdropping you an NFT, which they can do because blockchain is public. They just have to know, like, for instance, a lot of us use our .btc names on Twitter, and .btc names are tied to an address. And so if they go into the Explorer, they can look up purplesoy22.btc. Okay, here's his address. I'm going to send him this NFT. He's going to fall for the scam, and I'll take all the funds. So I'm really glad that you reached out to me and asked about that scam because, it was like, hey, this seems too good to be true. Purple, what's up with this? That's smart. Making sure that you have those red flags and then ask questions before, I'll just click around and see what this is about. Odds are if you're clicking around, you're going to find out. So please don't.
Like that.
Please don't do that.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, because I've participated in some stuff, a lot of stuff, then I'm like, this could actually be from like one of these couple of things. This could actually be legitimate. And that's why I'm like, it's confusing because you're always involved in so many different projects and things going on and things in the background. And then like somebody's like, oh, hey, come claim your reward for this thing you signed up for. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, thanks for the notification.
Yeah, seems legitimate, right? Yeah.
And that's why I ask, is because it's like, hey, are we involved in, like, does my local network know about this? Because if they don't, then it's probably not legit, because how would I have found out about it? Anyways, so I also have don't share your private keys on here. Don't share your private keys is a really good principle. Don't hand out copies of your house key either.
Or your credit card numbers. That's something really easy for people to understand. When I say private key and people look at me weird, it's not this super weird concept. Like, literally a credit card is a copy of your private keys to your credit account. It's really insecure if you think about it, because literally in your pocket, you're carrying a string of numbers that has access to all of your money. And if you lose your wallet, people can just write those numbers down and then you're screwed and you have to freeze your accounts, right? Crypto is the same way. If you give people the string of numbers and letters that represents your crypto account, they're going to take your money.
Yeah.
So if anyone ever asks for that, even if it's you think, oh, Coinbase support is emailing me and they're asking me for my private keys to verify your account, they do not need your private keys ever.
Nope.
They never need your private keys. You're the only person that should ever see that. So just if anyone ever says, hey, yo, send me your private keys, laugh at them, please. And then publicly say, hey, yo, this person is trying to scam us.
Yeah.
The world would be a better place.
That's one of the greatest things about Twitter in my mind. So I used to do crypto without Twitter, which was a lot. Like
Yeah, it's hard.
that did not stick. And then I came to Twitter and I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here now. It's a huge network of people that we like to help each other out. And so if somebody's scammy in that network, then we have no problem being like, hey, this person's scamming people. Or even like, hey, no offense to so-and-so, but they're asking for my private keys. Are they legit? And because they're asking for your private keys, the answer is no. But
yeah,
like maybe it's something that is legit, and you broadcast it, and people are like, oh yeah, like that's fine.
Well, I mean, that's actually a really good point, though, because if you recall, I don't think we talked about this on a show, but a couple months back, our good friend Fibo, who came on episode 4, his account was compromised, right? His Twitter account was compromised, and he posted something that was to that effect, like, oh, click on this link and connect your wallet and claim your money.
Right.
And so Fibo wouldn't do that.
Right.
But when it happened, a lot of people were immediately like, hey, yo, like, does anyone know what's up with Fibo? This isn't normal.
Yeah.
Right. And that was alerting people to the fact that there was a scam going on and people need to be careful. Fibo did eventually get his account back. But, there were people that were stupid enough to fall for something like that because of the emotion associated with it.
Right.
Oh, Fibo wouldn't post something that's super sketchy, so I'm just going to do this real fast, right?
Right.
Bad. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. So. And that's kind of like, so when I think about this, I think about like multiple flags, right? It's kind of a line of flags, and certain things will set off certain flags. And it's almost like if a certain number of flags go off, then I'm like, okay, this is actually like, so Fibo, being who he is, gives me a green flag. But the fact that he's sharing something that looks scammy, I can tell it's scammy because it's got the website in the thing. It's nothing I've ever heard of before. And it's like, send me your private keys, right? For example, right? It says some super obvious things like, this is not right. Then that throws up the red flags, and we go, okay, now it's time to look into this and see, hey, Fibo, man, are you running like a thing? Or like, hey, John, have you talked to Fibo lately? Did his account get hacked? Because it happens all the time. It happens all the time because everybody remembers Facebook.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Paul's posting in chat here, never ever send Bitcoin to people. That's a great point. Like, if so my younger brother is good friends with Paul as well. And he one day got a DM on Instagram from Paul that said, hey man, like, I'm doing this new fund, send me some Bitcoin and I'll 10x your money. And my brother hadn't taken time to learn how to protect himself against scams and sent Paul the Bitcoin, but it wasn't Paul. It was a username that looked very similar. So, even if you think, like, scammers aren't stupid, like, scammers are pretty smart actually, and they know who your friends are. And if they want to target you, they're going to use your friends, right? Like your friends' accounts. And I would also say, don't make the mistake of thinking that you're too small to get targeted. Because like I said earlier in the show, all of our information is out on the dark net. Just period. It's out for sale. Everything has been hacked. Eventually, they're going to get around to your information. It's just going to happen. And so you have to be ready. And you have to know stuff like this.
So part of the list is be aware of social media scams and verify social media accounts. And this is part of, we've kind of like hit that bullet at this point, I feel like. So I want to make sure that we're like, boom, we definitely hit it, because this is like the old IRS scams, right? Where the IRS calls you on the phone. They're like, hey, there's a problem with your account. Send your credit card information over here to verify that it's you, and we'll be able to talk to you and tell you what's wrong. But you have to send us your money first. And so I actually almost got hit with that. Somebody called me and was like, hey, we're the IRS. and I had actually had some like back taxes or like something was going on with my taxes. So I needed to work that shit out. And so I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Like it hit that emotional trigger in me, right? Where I was like, oh my God, it wasn't really FOMO. It was like fear of getting screwed
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
screwing up, And so instead of um, doing what they asked me to, I just was like, okay, well, hang on. Let's just make sure, like the IRS, they've waited this long, they can wait another day, right, for me to do some research on what's going on here. So I actually just called the IRS and was like, hey, will y'all ever call me about this, or this? And they were like, nope, that's a scam. We're glad you called. That's definitely a scam. There's no problems with your blah, 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 and don't worry about it.
Wow.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
awesome, thanks. So that's always like a scammer probably is not going to have like a customer service line available for you.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
can normally just call customer service and be like, hey, I'm a little bit of an idiot, but I was wondering, is this
Yeah.
legit or
Yeah.
not? And they'll be like, no, it's not. We wouldn't do that. But if you'd like to sign up for AT&T wireless or something, you can, like that's fine.
Yeah.
Pitch me your shit, but just don't scam me. So
Yeah.
how with all of this stuff going on, what advantage do things like hardware wallets bring to the picture?
Yeah, that's a great transition. So it's like we've been talking about, reactive measures, right? Where you're kind of presented with an opportunity to make a bad decision. So I think hardware wallet is the other side, which is preventative, right? So we want to make sure that we're not allowing scammers to have ease of access to your funds. So if you think about something valuable, I'm in the South. I love my guns. We have gun safes, right? Like that's an obvious purpose. It's a layer of difficulty between you and something that has value or is destructive, right? And crypto is both of those
Yeah, it needs to be
because
secure.
it needs to be secure. It's super valuable, right? And so if you're just holding your currency on an exchange, like I said earlier, the exchange is the one that's in control of those funds, not you, right? The next layer that you can do is something like a hardware wallet, which is pretty much just an encrypted device that your funds are stored locally in your house or in your safe or wherever that you have.
I mean,
Now you still have to trust the company that produced that hardware wallet, right? Like, so it's important to note that.
yep.
I still think that it's one of the best consumer options out there for security because the next option is like encrypting a USB drive or just like writing down your seed phrase. Like you can stamp it onto like metal kind of thing, but then you still have to decide where you want to store it, right?
Right.
With crypto, the burden of responsibility is always on you. And if you give that to another company, either that being an exchange or a company that created a hardware wallet, you still have some layers of trust. You just have to decide, okay, I want to make this more difficult for people not scam me. So taking it off of exchange is a good idea. Taking it off your phone is a really, really good idea. I know it's really convenient to have crypto on your phone, but like it's always connected to the internet, right? And you like even if you control the private keys, you could be tempted into clicking a connect wallet and draining your wallet.
And it's just like
And if it's
that fast.
and
Like
it's
you click
gone.
it and you're like,
Yeah,
oh shit, I did it. And then it's just done.
exactly.
Like it's too late.
Exactly. Whereas if you do have a hardware wallet, you actually have to go through the steps of I have to go get my wallet out. I have to log into it. I have to plug it into my computer. And by that time, you've gone, hold on, something feels fishy about this whole thing. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And it helps you think. It forces you to slow down.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most valuable part of a hardware wallet is it makes you take time to do the thing to get your money out. And by that time, you've thought through it a couple times.
Yeah. Well, and
that's what we want.
it's also, it's exactly what we were talking about with the email issue, right? Is you like if your email is not very secure, we'll just set up multiple emails, and that's like multiple layers of protection because of the fact that it's like if something from this email doesn't line up with my purpose for this email, then something's screwy, right? Like this is an email I only use for banking related emails, right? Like I only sign up for banking stuff with this email. So if I get something from some unrelated thing, I know I don't need to pay attention to that. Same thing with the wallets, right? If I have a wallet that's used for transacting, just like in real life, right? I don't carry all of my money around with me at the same time. I put some cash in my wallet or whatever, and then that's what I use for my daily tasks, just like you would with a regular crypto wallet. Just have one that's for daily tasks, and then create your security on the back end somewhere else that make that more complicated. And then when you do need out significant funds, or let's say you do get scammed on that first wallet,
it's not everything.
It's not your whole bag. It's X%, and that's better than all of it for sure.
Yeah. And actually, like having an extra layer of difficulty where you have to fund a wallet to do stuff is great, because aside from slowing you down for scams, it'll make you spend less money, right? Because you're like, oh, I would do this, like I would go buy this NFT, but I have to get my hardware wallet out, I have to fund my wallet, and that's just too much work. And you're probably better off holding your Bitcoin anyway.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's good. I do want to mention really fast in the chat, Paul's asking about the Ledger hack. Is Ledger super secure? So Ledger is one of the ones that I tend to recommend because it's easy to use. It is more secure than holding it on the exchange. They were hacked. Their email servers were hacked. So basically, if you bought a Ledger from their site directly and they had your email address on file up until that point, there is a likelihood that your email address was stolen. That's a problem, obviously, because now people know who owns a ledger and you could do some work and try and figure all that out. However, in my experience so far, they haven't had any sort of breach that has resulted in loss of customer funds. There was a backdoor that was installed a few months ago where Ledger can like access things, but from what we're told, you have to update your ledger to that version, and you also have to like opt into that service as like an insurance service is what they're calling it. I think that having a backdoor in a hardware wallet is always a bad idea, because if there is a backdoor, it will be used, just period. We have to trust them. Like I said at the beginning, at the end of the day, you have to understand, unless you're an electrical engineer and you understand how the device was put together, you have to trust that somebody did it correctly. So if you're starting to ask that question, well, can I trust Ledger? Well, maybe don't. If you're that suspicious, maybe just write down your own seed phrase and store it somewhere where you feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It's up to each person's individual preference. Some people are going to prefer to just trust Coinbase and hope that they don't go bankrupt and hope that their insurance covers them.
Yep.
I'm not comfortable with that, so I do something different, but it's each person's comfort. And I think that it's a scale. And as you learn more, you'll probably get more suspicious and you'll probably take more steps. So as long as you're doing your research, I think, and you're asking questions, that's where you want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think thinking about or talking about terms is really important at this point, because really all of what we're talking about fits under a single terminology called risk mitigation, right? You want to mitigate, like bottleneck your risk as much as possible, to where it all of your risk, where the risky points are, and to sit there and go, okay, am I actually risking this? Am I willing to risk this in this way? Right? You want to understand where your risk points are. And that's why we're kind of just doing this like bullet list style, is go through and check out where your risk points are. If you all of your money on a central, like, okay, well, maybe all of that, I could hold that, and then just use some of the ones here or there. Sorry, I just got a notification that the stream was doing something weird, but just let me know if it's being funky.
No, I can still hear you. I think it's the network,
okay,
but
cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're probably putting a little bit of tax on it, running two streams off of it at the same time. So apologies. Yeah, so we're doing that bullet list style because that's what risk mitigation is. Risk mitigation is you just go down the list, make sure that every risk access point that you have is shored up, and that there are no leaky points that you don't know about, and that those leak points are being properly controlled. That's what a lot of people do, risk mitigation for a living, and that's what they do all day. So we have to do it a little bit when we take responsibility for our own assets. tell me about what the internet has provided us with for social proof and how we can use social proof to further secure our big fat bags.
Yeah, totally. So like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's several different platforms that I recommend people go to when they're checking out a particular project or they have any interests that they want to know more about. Twitter is a great one. There are websites out there, but like I said at the beginning of the show, almost anyone can make a website these days. It's really difficult to verify how legitimate a website is. You could pull up cryptonewsallday.io and that could be a completely legitimate website for all we know, or it could be a complete scam. And it's super difficult to tell. Whereas if you're using Twitter, you can typically, figure out if a person is legitimate or not based off of the comments they're getting, based off of if they're verified or not, and then if you pair that up with, say, Reddit tends to be brutally honest about things. They're going to call a scam, or they're going to call people out. It can be a cesspool, so I don't recommend people go to Reddit immediately. But if you combine Twitter and Reddit, and then if you're looking at a particular project, odds are they have a Discord server or a Telegram server where you can go in and you can talk with the team directly. And if they're not answering your questions satisfactorily, if they're pushing you off, or if you get banned from the server, those are all red flags, right? You can piece all of this stuff together. And basically, we're in this cursed decade, I feel like, where there's so much information that it's easy for scammers to thrive, because if you want to know what's true, you have to do a lot of work to verify that and piece it all together. And it sounds complicated because it is complicated. We're taking control of our assets, like you said, and that comes with a lot of responsibility these days.
And that's what we're building, though, is we're trying to build a society where we can have a trustless interaction system, where you don't need to trust me.
Right.
We can just have it function in a way where you're either legit or you're not, and everybody knows.
Right.
Or everybody's protected from everybody else in some sense, naturally, without the government being involved.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this whole episode is making me feel more secure, just because I feel like I'm like, okay, yeah, we're checking the boxes. Like I know where the holes are, and need to shore those up at some point. But nothing's like, we're not dropping buckets out by accident or anything. There's also Trajan App, which I think is really cool. And I don't know how well it's going for them so far and what the full involvement and things are. But I think it's a really cool idea where they're taking social proof and basically putting it on the blockchain, so that you'll have like a Web3 reputation, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's one of the bullet points that I have, is check reviews and feedback. If let's say you're on somebody's Twitter account and they have a Trajan account, go on there and see who else is, looking into them and saying, hey, this guy's doing quality work. I would put my name behind them as well, because that's immutable and on the blockchain. So if you're going to put it on there, you should probably mean it.
Right.
And same thing goes for, reviews and feedback as well. Like if you go to somebody's Discord server or something, for example, you'll be able to read through some of the channels and see if it's legit or not. If there's people in there cutting up about some random memes and stuff, you've got a better chance of that being a legitimate project, interestingly enough. So
yeah, it definitely depends on the culture. You can tell. One other point that I wanted to make, we're getting kind of close to wrapping up, but something that Nick posted in chat. But if you do want to get scammed, where is it best to go in 2023? Harkening back to the title of the episode, cryptocurrency has a huge appeal, which is it's gotten a lot of people a lot of money in a short amount of time. Okay. But that should throw up a red flag if you've been paying attention to this episode. Get rich quick schemes almost always, like 99.9% of the time, will take all of your money. Okay, I speak from experience. I'm coming up on almost 10 years of being in the cryptocurrency space, and I have lost thousands of dollars from essentially gambling on things that aren't Bitcoin. Okay, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, meaning some people out there only say that the only good that crypto has is Bitcoin. and that, you shouldn't do anything else. I think that everyone should have Bitcoin. But I also have made a lot of money off of different cryptocurrencies because of things that I knew, people that I knew at the right time, and because of years and years and years of practice doing this.
Yeah.
So if you're new to this space, don't expect to come in here and make ridiculous money. Just learn about Bitcoin. Put some money into that. If you go to coinmarketcap.com and you look at the list of cryptocurrencies out there, there are thousands upon thousands of cryptocurrencies, and anyone can make a cryptocurrency. It's so easy these days. Like, it's almost as easy as building a website. Okay. If you can go to
did it in like
Squarespace,
5 minutes, didn't you?
yeah, I've made a coin in under 5 minutes, and I don't know anything about development myself. Okay. So if that's possible and you aren't a financial expert, and you're going to make a mistake, you're going to lose money. So just start with Bitcoin and learn about Bitcoin. And the more that you learn, the more you're going to realize like how much of a crazy world it is out there. Maybe you'll figure some things out to make some money. In my opinion, it's who you know, not what you know. A lot of the good opportunities that have come from me have just been getting to know the space and meeting really smart people. Like we talk about Setsus from Bitcoin Badgers all the time because he's one of the smartest freaking people that I know. And I met him because I was just getting to know people and doing research, and knowing him has led to some great opportunities for me, So it's like you can make money outside of just Bitcoin, but starting with Bitcoin is the safe play. And we're all about mitigating risk in this episode. So don't be risky. Start with Bitcoin, secure your own Bitcoin. Don't trust anybody else. And if you want to go further than that, more power to you. But, you don't have to go further than that.
Yeah. It's up to you how far you go. So I think you make such a huge point with I keep going back to networking because that's such a something that I rely on so much is the people around me. And I'm so grateful for the people that I've met in this space and how much they've helped me out with not being an idiot and developing my instincts. Because one day I'd like to be able to trust my own instincts and know enough myself to where somebody else could rely on me and I can be like, oh, no, that's a scam. Like, don't click on that or anything. And I'll be the one in that spot where people are, asking me questions. But I'm looking at the bullet list and it's saying, stay updated and trust your instincts. And I do both of those things through other people. I stay updated by talking to a group of guys that I trust, that I know, that I hang out with regularly, and we know where each other live to a rough extent. You don't have to dox your friends, but there is a certain layer of trust that develops, and actually getting interested in similar things with each other. It's weird how it overlaps with your lifestyle so much. Mm-hmm. And as you stay updated through them and share links and things back and forth to where, this information is being shared across the internet, because the internet is so huge, you need friends to filter it for you. Right. Then you actually develop the instincts that you can trust over time, where you're actually up to date through your friends, and you start seeing something on your own and go, hey, I caught this is a scam, just so you guys are aware. All of a sudden you're starting to contribute. And that's just part of being in the space and being exposed to the internet and being a part of this weird freaking world that we're building.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do on the show too. Follow the shows that are on Bitcoin Live. Bitcoin Live is run by a very strong group of Bitcoin mostabilists who have been around for years. We know our stuff. We're friendly. I mean, hell, any of us will talk to you. Okay. Like if you want to just hit us up and follow us on YouTube, hit us up on Twitter, ask us questions. I'm always down to answer some questions. I don't want people to get scammed. Pigeon's the same way.
We love engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Engagement's the bomb. We want it, please. But and bringing it back to the beginning of the episode, you were smart enough to recognize that something wasn't a get rich quick scheme, and you reached out and you asked questions. And now through this episode, you're being able to share a crazy scam that you have avoided. So, there's levels to the game, and you're leveling up, and we want our viewers to do the same. So stay safe, slow down, mitigate that risk, and make friends. Friends will keep you safe. So I feel like that's a really good ending towards the episode. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of leveling up, why don't I meet you upstairs we'll wrap this sumbitch up and play some video games, eh?
Yeah, Ocarina of Time. I think the water temple is next, so we're gonna have to mitigate some serious stress reactions here soon. But yeah, it's been a great time, man. I'm glad you're here in Tennessee. It's cool that we did one in South Carolina, we did one in Tennessee. So yeah, a week off of work coming for you. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice week.
Yep. A week off of my fiat mining job to work on some other stuff. So we're still going to be working,
Nice.
but it'll be in a direction that I prefer. So,
Nice.
and
That's what we want.
Paul, you can 1,000%. I'm sure we're going to end up meeting up here in Tennessee at some point.
Yeah, man. I've been begging Paul to come up and visit. So whenever Paul does that, we'll get Pigeon down here and we'll have us a nice, good old time. So yeah, that's been Gingerly. This has been a great time. Like I said, hit a follow button, like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to Roundly X for sponsoring the show. If you want to get started in some Bitcoin, like I said, use code Gingerly to sign up and get yourself $15 of Bitcoin to get started on us. That would be awesome. We'll see you in 2 weeks with another episode. In the meantime, do your research, make some friends, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Pigeon. Peace.